The internet can be a very tough place.
I'm gonna teach you how to make taho, basically a Filipino breakfast drink with tofu.
A couple years ago, I was invited by Tastemade to go to the US and shoot some cooking videos. For someone from the Philippines, that was such a huge deal and I was so excited. I arrived there just planning to be the absolute best tastemaker I could be and just say yes to everything and be really friendly to everyone, and everyone there was absolutely great. One of the recipes I had to do was taho.
I'm gonna teach you how to make taho.
And this is where the story starts. We did a taho recipe, which is now infamously famous on the internet. It just did 100,000 views on Tastemade, but it did 100,000 pissed off views on Tastemade. Those pearls are way undercooked. I'm white as hell, and I know that. Ulol, pretentious. Wag mo pabuyin ang taho. I get that it's good and that he's passionate about cooking, but goddamn, he sucks at it. That's just to give you a slight taste of what was said about me on both YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. People made it their absolute mission to tear me to bits because I did not cook taho properly. And I admit to that, and I've always admitted to it, but you don't know the backstory. When I was there shooting, we just had an hour left. And in the US, they take time extremely seriously and schedules very seriously. So I had to cook taho in 1 hour. The problem was the sago was not cooked. The ones we had were the ones that you had to cook on multiple hours. And we didn't have that time. So we just decided to just roll with it. And this was the results.
Breakfast drink with tofu.
Within the first frame, you can tell the pearls are completely undercooked. If you look at my face, I look really pissed off and kind of awkward. Let's skip through it. So some people said my Arnibal was not dark enough. Sure, I don't like really syrupy stuff, but okay. Next one I'll do will be very proper, nice and dark. And here come the infamous sago pearls. They're absolutely undercooked. And I am stuffing hardened tofu because they couldn't find silken tofu, and I'm just stuffing it in the glass like an idiot because I didn't want to offend anyone. I didn't want to not do this recipe because it was part of the schedule. It looks terrible.
Like I said, these are
it looks terrible. Oh, okay, I stop it. I'm cringing. All right, I f***ed up, guys. Tao lang ako, all right? Like, it happens. It just so happens that this is super public, and it just really, some people just threw me so much hate and shade for this, and you know what? Fine. I did it wrong, but some of this was really aggressive and really painful. Like, I feel people thought that I should die because I ruined taho. That's a little extreme. So you know what? I decided to do taho again because the situation here, let's recreate that. Let's recreate that situation where I didn't have the proper ingredients, and what I should have done here instead is said, let's do it tomorrow. Let's do the recipe tomorrow because we don't have time. What if we had the time to do it properly? How do you do it really nice? So you make the Arnibal from scratch, for example. You make sure it's the right color, the right consistency, depending on who you are. You make sure you cook the sago properly, right? And it's nice and transparent, there's no white part inside. And why not go the extra mile by making the tofu or the silken tofu from scratch, from soybeans? So let's look and break down taho. Here's one I recently bought on the street. You look at the caramel syrup, if you will, or the caramel water. It's not super thick, it's nice and dark, but it's nice and liquid. You do have a caramelly, sugary, burnt sugar kind of flavor. So the way I think I'm gonna do this is just have that ratio of brown sugar to water extremely high, and making sure that if it cooks down really, really, really long, gets really dark, add some water just to kind of like liquefy it a little bit. The sago pearls are black, and the tofu should just squash in your mouth. So how do we make tofu from scratch? Well, you take some soybeans, soak them overnight, grind them up in a blender, then you've got this white pasty mix with lots of water. You take some sort of cheesecloth, put everything inside, you press it, you should get fresh soy milk. Once you have that, there are multiple ways of getting the consistency of tofu. A lot of it has to do with chemicals. The most popular one that's used is gypsum. Gypsum that's edible, but that's still not really good for you. The second way is to use gelatin. The problem with gelatin is that most taho is served warm or hot. And the issue with that is that might actually break up. So I've come to the conclusion after a lot of research that I need to be using some Epsom salt, and hopefully that works out. So that's my game plan. I'm gonna try to make a proper, legit, original taho, and the only element that I won't be making myself is the sago pearls from scratch. But for that to happen, guys, I feel like both of you, Sago, Mon, you guys need to go, because this is my personal journey, not yours. All right, first things first, we need some fresh soybeans, which we're then gonna soak overnight with some water. 3 parts water, 1 part soybean. So we're gonna boil 1 liter of water, then boil the sago 15 minutes. We're gonna rinse it in some cool water, cool down, soak it overnight, then cook it down again for 10 minutes tomorrow. Then we're gonna soak it until the white disappears, and it's ready to use. Day 2. I have my sago balls here, but they seem to be not thoroughly cooked. So as per package instructions, I'm gonna make sure to detach them a little bit, and then I'm gonna boil them for an additional 15 minutes. Okay, since the package instructions haven't really been working out for us, I boil it a bit longer, maybe 15 minutes longer than the suggested 10 minutes. And the result is an almost clear, not really a ball anymore. It kind of disintegrated. So I'm just gonna wash this in some water and see if we can still get some nice kind of like spherical shapes out of this. All right, so this is the finished result. I'm gonna go ahead and wash this a couple more times just to make sure that I get nice balls like this and remove kind of all that excess gelatin that's come out. And then I'm gonna leave this again in some new water for about 3 hours in the fridge. All right, so we've got about 2.5 cups of freshly made soy milk. I tried as much as possible to remove that foam because I don't think that's gonna help us get that silky texture that we want. So to that, I'm gonna add just half a teaspoon of Epsom salt. And then you wanna dissolve this really gently without agitating the mixture too much. Now we're just gonna place everything in a pot here, and then we're gonna fill that up with some hot water. Cover it with a piece of cloth, cover, bring that up so you don't set your kitchen on fire, and then turn the fire on. While waiting for all that to cook, let's check first of all how long that's gonna take. It should take about 10 to 15 minutes to kind of cook down. I want it to get to a texture of like a custard almost. And then after that, we're gonna basically take it out and then leave it 10 minutes out at room temperature. And then yeah, and that's ready. So basically, hopefully those sago balls will be done. All right, it's been 10 minutes and this has not worked at all. Not what we're looking for, so we'll try again. All right, that didn't work out. It was too curdled. It kind of reminded me of like what a firm tofu would look like, so definitely not what you want. So this is attempt number 2. Okay, I'm gonna double strain this one just to be sure I don't get anything unwanted in there. All right, secondary approach is we're gonna bring our soy milk to boil to about 60 degrees Celsius, and then we're gonna take it off the fire. Okay, second attempt, cooked. Tofu goes in strained. Then I'm gonna stir in half a teaspoon of Epsom salt that's been diluted in about 15 ml of water. And I'm gonna stir this really vigorously for about 5 seconds, and then I won't touch it anymore. Don't touch it, and then cover it. Something tied taho at this point, simply because it wasn't solidifying, so we left it in the fridge. Hopefully it'll turn out all right. Mon's back today, so we'll document all that. It's literally right in front of me there. There he is. There's Kuya. So last time we saw each other, I was in the supermarket and I told you that our experiment was still undecided and I was too frustrated to continue with it simply because I was all alone shooting it and I kept having to shoot and try things out and experiment, and it was just taking too long. Last update was from making the soybean milk, adding the Epsom salt and putting it in. It didn't get hard right away, so I had to put it in the fridge to make sure that hopefully it set a little bit overnight. And guess what? Mon's back! Hey, what's up, Mon? What's up, what's up, what's up? All right, so couple things. Number one, so the sago is absolutely fully cooked right now. But look how it got white again, which is really weird. So it got white again in the fridge, but they're completely cooked. Like I can actually crush the whole thing with my hand. So I think the only thing I need to do now is kind of boil it a little bit more again just to get it nice and warm so that it gets translucent once more. But as you saw yesterday, that was already achieved. It was completely transparent through. So number one thing, cook the sago properly. Achieved. So I did two versions because I was getting really frustrated. I did one. Let's see how all this turns out. This was the first experiment. I think the problem here was there was way too much Epsom salt. But the thing is now, this I can actually pan fry and cook it, and it tastes like tofu. The second thing I did, so this was the one with Epsom salt and a little bit, no, just Epsom salt actually. This is the one, only Epsom salt. You can see how the foam kind of just made it a little wrinkly, but the texture seems okay. Like a little, not too hard, nice and soft. I feel like if I turn this around and then cut it with my little spoon, this should work out just fine. The second version I did just in case something went wrong with this version because I wasn't sure if this was really gonna set or not. So I took this, which is a fresh batch of soy milk, which I had, and I just made it with gelatin. See, so it's nice and smooth, nice and soft, and if I break it with my hand like that, that's a nice kind of silky texture. But I feel like that's cheating because I'm not sure Taho vendors use tofu or soy milk gelatin. That's delicious though. Or if they use the Epsom salt. So I feel like we're gonna use the Epsom salt version one because it's slightly more authentic, it's slightly thicker. But at least you know, if you don't have access to Epsom salt, magnesium chloride and all those things, you can actually make a quick version with gelatin, and gelatin's really easy to use. Boil some soy milk up to, I don't know, 60, 65 degrees Celsius, add in some gelatin, let it cool down, chuck it in the fridge overnight, and the next day, you got something nice and jiggly. Na 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 na, getting jiggy with it. Let's compare the tofu. Option one, option two. So this is what we're looking for. I don't remember ever seeing Taho like this. This is actually not bad. You have a nice creamy texture. Both of them are quite good, but I think this is the more authentic one. Last but not least, we have our Arnibal caramel. Nice and thick. If you want to kind of make this a little less thick, then you can go ahead and add in more water if you want to. All our elements are ready, so let's put it all together. I feel like this is my apology to the world. Guys, all it takes is perseverance. If you really do believe in something, go after your dreams, make those changes. You know, just accept your failures. I failed in the Taho video, I accepted it. So now it's all about making amends and making one properly. And I just did that, and it's absolutely delicious. That is good Taho. And to prove to you that it is, I'm gonna give my friend Mon here the Taho, and he's gonna try it.
I love Taho, bro. I grew up in Baguio eating Taho. It's delicious, bro.
It's good. The sago is well
Sago
cooked.
is cooked.
How's the Arnibal?
Super sweet, pero balanced. You own it, man.
Oh my God. I've never drinking so much Taho in my life. Peace out, guys. I love you. To those who supported me, thank you. To those who criticized me, thank you very much. You make me a better person. Peace out. Subscribe.